Sean Payton versus DeMeco Ryans, Volume 1, following a very eventful offseason involving the two. Plus, a lot of Texans news, something confusing that happens today, and perhaps some clarity tomorrow. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas
Big game for the Texans this Sunday. You can make a case it's the biggest game since last week. I know we might be saying this all week long. It might be one of those situations where this is the biggest game of the season every week, which means you're playing meaningful football. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central, Sports Radio 610, the Odyssey app. So right along there. As well as on here. The layout for the Texans right now for the remainder of the season is interesting. And we'll get into the DeMeco and the Sean Payton thing in a second, because I think this is a really fascinating matchup. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along as well. But I think this is the perfect layout for the Texans moving forward. Now, and now hear me out on this. I'm not saying that the Texans are set up to where you can go ahead and punch their ticket to the playoffs. I'm not saying that the Texans playoff or bust type of situation, although I do think those should be the expectations. But it's not often in this league, and it doesn't always happen where the layout, when you're in a position like the Texans are, as we sit in the wild card and you're in the mix with a bunch of teams and you're chasing some teams and you have teams tied with you, where you're going to face all those teams at the end of the season, especially with 6 games remaining. But with where the Texans sit right now, that's just kind of where they are. You're 1 game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. You already beat them. You're 1 game behind the Cleveland Browns. You got them on Christmas Eve. You're tied with the Denver Broncos right now. You face them on Sunday. So if you beat them, you're essentially up more than a game because the tie break. Indianapolis is ahead of you. You have the same record. Indianapolis you got them at the end of the season. The Browns have lost their quarterback. Kenny Pickett for the Steelers is nicked up. Joe Burrow, who would have been your biggest threat, he's out. Myles Garrett's apparently in a sling. Who knows how long, he's going to be able to gut that out. It probably can't be easy, especially with everything that defense is supposed to do. The Colts are on their backup quarterback, although I don't know that that's like the worst thing for them. So you've gotten a lot of breaks from a Texans point of view, and it's just kind of laid out interestingly to where you control your own destiny. In these situations, obviously, if you went out, you'd control your own destiny, but you control your own destiny against the teams that you're competing with. So it's just a really interestingly laid out schedule. It's almost like a college football schedule where you're in a conference and you've played certain teams and you haven't played others. You know how if you're a college football fan, I'm sure a lot of you are, a lot of times whenever, you're trying to figure out, can we get in the conference championship? Can we get in the conference championship? It's like, oh, well, we play the team that's above us next week. We play that team on Christmas Eve or Thanksgiving, I guess it would be, since college football. So it's just kind of laid out interestingly for the Texans. Now, the question will be, are the Texans going to and Manny brings up a good point. Aaron Rodgers is out for the season. Yeah, I mean that's another break. I'm not even mentioning the Jets because of that they've kind of completely crumbled. So all of this thing has happened. But my thing is, it's just really laid out in an entertaining manner, and it starts this Sunday with a matchup against the Denver Broncos, which I think is interesting for a number of reasons. And we'll get into the news with the Texans, an interesting thing on the depth chart, which I don't want to make too much of, and some of the other stuff in this live edition of the Locker Room. I'm also going to drop a Sean Payton video tomorrow before the show, basically talking about avoiding the nightmare that was Sean Payton to the Houston Texans. And I never thought that it was going to happen. I thought that would have been the worst thing that the Texans could have done was bringing in Sean Payton. And my reasoning is this: I know that he's accomplished a lot. I would argue that Drew Brees was just as important as he was. He was a Pro Bowler before he played for Sean Payton. He'd been there. People act as if Drew Brees was just like some sort of scrub that came out of nowhere. He's pretty good. The Chargers, it was the Phillip Rivers decision. They went with Phillip Rivers instead of Brees. He ended up going there. He quit with the Saints when things got tough. And he was doing that whole Colin Cowherd thing where Colin Cowherd was basically his mouthpiece and just had a real slimy vibe for me. I wanted a young coach. I wanted a coach that has his best days ahead of him. I wanted a coach that didn't have a massive ego. And I wanted a coach that didn't cost a first, second, and third round pick as well. And even if Sean Payton, there hadn't been draft compensation, I was never really a Sean Payton guy. Now, I've talked to my co-host John Lopez, and Lopez today was talking about, well, Sean Payton has the same record with the Broncos as DeMeco Ryans does with the Texans. So there's a case can be made that he's done as good of a job as DeMeco Ryans, and I think that's ridiculous because the Denver Broncos, like the talent they had last year, it was very misleading, the record they had. Like stuff began to spiral. The Hackett thing became a joke. It was apparent that he was done. I don't even think he lasted through the season. They basically quit. They had a bunch of injuries. It's like the Texans when Bill O'Brien inherited them. You can say it was the worst team in the league, but it was just a perfect storm. And when they won 9 games, I know O'Brien would say, yeah, we improved it by 7. Sure, you did. But anyone in their right mind knew that the talent on that roster was such to where, yeah, they might have had the worst record in the league, but they ended up, I mean, they weren't as bad as their record was once you had the full offseason and all that to get ready, and you had and you added the draft equity. So it's the same thing with the Cowboys when they got Zeke Elliott and Dak Prescott. Tony Romo got hurt, and they ended up being way better than people expect. It's like, oh yeah, they turned it around. Okay, well, it was kind of misleading. That's how I look at Denver. I think Denver right now is closer to what they should have been last year than some sort of miraculous thing that Sean Payton has done. He has them at 6-5. He's changed the culture. Okay. The Colts were a worse team than the Broncos. They're 6-5 with their backup quarterback, Shane Steichen. You didn't have to give up a first and second and third round pick for Shane Steichen. Texans, same thing. Now, not definitely, damn sure not the same roster, but they're 6-5 too. So this notion that he completely flipped the culture. And the other thing is the Russell Wilson turnaround. I keep hearing about the Russell Wilson turnaround. He turned around Russell Wilson. Look what he did look what he did with Russell Wilson. Okay, I mean, we're talking about this. We're talking about this. I'll get to some of your comments when we go through this. We're talking about this like he made the playoffs with Daniel Jones last year with Brian Dable. Let's be serious. Russell Wilson was in the discussion of being a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. I mean, he completely melted down last year. Have you seen what the Jets have done this year without Aaron Rodgers? And I know we can sit there and say it's Zach Wilson, so-and-so. Nathaniel Hackett sucks. Look at him without Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, Russell Wilson, he's doing a pretty good job. He's being pretty efficient. I think he's 26th in the league in yards per attempt. He's up there in completion percentage, QBR, all that. He's doing a fine job, but good God. I mean, did we think Russell Wilson was I know he looked like crap last year, but yeah, he doesn't look like absolute trash he doesn't look like absolute trash, but I mean, they traded multiple drafts borderline for Russell Wilson. So the fact that Russell Wilson is now all of a sudden not absolute ass, is that more to do with Sean Payton, or is that more to do with what Russell had going on last year and what Nathaniel Hackett was doing? I'm not a Sean Payton guy. I'm just not a fan. And I can admit that right now. I'm not a fan of his, but I think even if I weren't a fan of his, I would be able to take a step back and say, Okay, like the Broncos are 6-5. They lost to Josh McDaniels. They beat the Chiefs when Patrick Mahomes was sick. I hate when coaches get this credit. And I don't like this because I think this is kind of the most misleading thing. One of the most misleading things when you talk about NFL coaches and the jobs they're doing. Well, the team didn't quit on them. Okay, they've won 5 games in a row. Props. They started out 1-5. So do we just completely eliminate that? I mean, did he have anything to do with the 1-5 start? I'm not as big on Sean Payton as some people are. And for me, it would have been perhaps like my biggest nightmare for Sean Payton to have ended up with the Texans. That just would have been a nightmare for me. I would not have been too excited about that. And I'm hearing a lot about the defense, like the defense. Oh, look what look what the defense is doing right now. They gave up 70 points in week 2 to the Miami Dolphins. Look at this defense. Last year, the Broncos defense was 7th in the league in yards allowed per game. And in points per game, they were near the middle. They allowed 21 points per game last year, which was ahead of the Chiefs. It was ahead of a lot of playoff teams. So he didn't turn around. I mean, there's not like some big Sean Payton turnaround. Maybe I'm a hater. I'm just not a big fan of Sean Payton. Let's take a look at it. I'll drop the Sean Payton video tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Probably a little bit more on that tomorrow. News with the Houston Texans here in the locker room. Matt Amendola could be back per Aaron Wilson. I saw Aaron Wilson said that he could be back. They also worked out Brett Maher from the Cowboys. I think he's kicked for the Rams too. He used to have a hell of a lot of range. He got the yips real bad last year. I will be interested to see what that workout looked like. But Aaron Wilson seems to think Amendola has a chance to be back on the practice squad once he clears waivers. Aaron seems to like Amendola a lot. I don't know. Like that seems to be one of his boys. Shout out to Aaron Wilson. Charlie Heck, he was activated from the hey, Enzo's asking about the lots. I got you covered. Just be ready at the end of this. I'll go through and I'll get you there. Says he's coming in from LA for the game. I got you. Charlie Heck activated. I don't know what the hell this means. Charlie Heck, swing tackle. There was a time last year where they started him at left tackle against the Chiefs, and then they moved Titus to guard. It was actually the only time that we've really seen Titus play decent at guard. Maybe I'm being too harsh, maybe not. But Charlie Heck activated. I guess we're just looking at tackle depth here. It will be interesting to see what happens with Titus Howard once we get the status, how Titus Howard is. Is he going to be on the end? Is he going to be out for a while? Is he going to go on IR? What's going on with that? We should get an update on that tomorrow. We typically get the injury updates on Wednesday with the practice report. And I don't know what is Titus Howard's role going to be for the remainder of the season if he is healthy. There's a number of options here. Johnny saying that Brett Maher missed 6 field goals and an extra point this year. He did, but he has a little bit more range and a little bit more track record than Amendola. But I'm with you on that. I do understand. What is the role for Titus Howard for the remainder of the season? Do they move Juice Scruggs to center? Dieter struggled. Do they move Juice Scruggs to center and then put Titus back at guard and leave Fan at tackle? Do they leave Juice Scruggs at guard and then figure out if Fant is better than Titus Howard? I don't know. I don't know what the role is for Titus Howard. I know they've said that their goal is to put out their best 5. I thought Juice Scruggs was as good as Titus Howard the other day for what we've seen from Titus Howard at guard, especially what we saw early on in that game. So is he better than Juice Scruggs at guard? Is that the best five? Like, is Juice Scruggs better than him? And the other question is, and I think this is a fair question, some of y'all might roll your eyes at it, like, is he better than George Fant at tackle? Because if he was significantly better than George Fant at tackle, don't you think that there would have been a chance that he would have started at he would have been at tackle in the first place? If the best five is clearly the thing, the Titus Howard thing is going to be looked at. The extension is going to be looked at really, really weird after the season. I didn't know what the hurry was. They did it. They have money to play with, but if he's a below serviceable guard and he's not better than Fant, then I mean that's going to be one of those things that we kind of look at. But it'll be interesting to see. Hell, we might find out that he's hurt, but I don't know. I don't know what the what's going to happen with Titus Howard. Jerome says we're doing too much. All right, you tell me what the role is then. I'll sit back and wait. You tell me what Titus Howard's role is. If he's ready to go, give it to me. If I'm doing too much, I got to hear this because I'm lost. I need you to show me the light and guide me because he's been playing. I thought he was a right tackle. They moved him to guard. He's been shuffling. Juice Scruggs came in there and did his thing. Do they move him back to tackle? Is that what we do? Like, is he better than Fant? Show me the light. I want to see the light. I'm not even trying to show you up or anything. I want you to show me it for real. Like, give me Titus Howard's role. Type it out for me. I'll wait for you because I need to see this light. Help me out. Show me because I don't know what Titus Howard's role is. I was surprised he was at guard in the first place. So yeah, let's see it, man. I don't want to do too much. I want to be as efficient as possible. Show me the light. I'm waiting for you, Jerome. I'm 100% serious. I want to hear this. Give it to me. I really want to see it. Travis says put him at left guard and put Juice at center. Keep Fant at right tackle. Okay, that's fair. Dieter has played pretty well before the last game. That could be fair. Dude is the starting right tackle, but we need him at guard. He better than everybody at guard and can't play guard. Better at right tackle. He's better than everybody at guard and can't play guard. Better at right tackle. Okay. Is he better than Fant? I can't like 100% certain say that. I know they paid him like it, but I assume that they would just leave him there to begin with. Like if you thought you had like some sort of boss hog tackle and the guy's not good at guard, which I think the one thing we can't agree with is he's not good at guard. Are we like 100% certain he's really awesome at tackle? That would be my question. You didn't show me the light. I asked you to. I think what is his role is a fair question to ask. I'm getting tons of different answers. Best thing for Titus is sitting out the season, getting healthy. Realistically, I think the line is stronger without Titus and the young studs putting in work. So there you go. He's not seeing the light. I don't know if he's doing too much kicks. He was hurt, bro. When he got back, Fant was playing decent. Kendrick Green went down and Titus filled that role. Okay. He was hurt, bro. And Fant was playing decent. Kendrick Green went down and Titus filled that role. Yes, he did. Did he though? Like, has it been enough to where you want to like to see him at guard? I don't understand. Like, if Titus were a really, really good tackle, it should be a no-brainer, especially with what you're getting from him at guard. That's what's so confusing to me. Mark asks, does it matter at this point who is on the O-line? Yes. For sure. Can Dieter play guard? Yes, but not well. And maybe they just put Juice at center. We can see. Hardo Calvin, look at the tape, make adjustments, and move on. That's brilliant. That sounds like I think that would be great. That's a great idea. Should we get Marcus Peters? The answer is no. Um, I'm fine with I'm fine with what they got on corner. They're fighting as hard as they can. It's not great, but uh, yeah. Jerome, here we go, man. Jerome's on it today. We're just overreacting. First, it's Pierce need less carries because of Devin 2 games. Now Titus don't have a role. I'm asking what the role is. Everybody's got a role. I'm asking what the role is. I think we're overreacting to Titus, like acting like it's just like in lock. But yes, Devin Singletary is better than Damian Pierce. That's not an overreaction. You're not that is some Ray Charles vision if you're not watching that. If you've watched if you've watched this team and you don't think that there's a gap between Singletary and Pierce, man, I'm gonna have to just scroll through you for a little bit, especially when we're talking about that. That's rough, brother. that's that's rough. That's just trying to be contrarian right there. That's rough, man. You need to get your eyes checked. Appreciate you though. Let's look at this depth chart and see if anything sticks out. And we'll go back to the Pierce thing because that was the one thing that stuck out. Everything is as expected on the depth chart. You have Titus at left guard, Juice as the backup guard and center. So that's how they're doing it right now. Now, will that be how they roll out there? We typically don't know that until the beat writers go out there at practice and they talk about the layout. But as of right now, they have Titus at left guard. Now, he's not on the injured list, so you put him at left guard no matter what. I've been told by the guys in the building that that's how that works. The defense is the same, except you have Denzel Perriman back. He served his suspension, so Denzel Perriman is at Mike, and then you have Cashman at the Sam and Harris at the Will. And Cashman and Harris are both playing really well. The linebackers, outside of some coverage flaws, which Denzel Perriman definitely doesn't help, they've been pretty good, especially those two guys. The running back position is listed as Damian Pierce or Singletary. And that's where I'm kind of interested. So are we just forgotten about this? Where are we at there with the Damian Pierce or Singletary? Again, maybe not to make too much of a depth chart, but I don't know if they just have a soft spot for Damian Pierce. Maybe they know something that we don't, but it's been blatantly obvious that Devin Singletary has been the better back up to this point. I'm not going to dismiss 2 games. If you're going to dismiss being AFC Offensive Player of the Week and rushing for 150 yards, I don't care who it was against. It was against the Bengals. They don't have a good run defense, but if you're going to dismiss that and then 100 plus yards and the New Orleans game where Singletary was the better guy, man, I mean, you're dismissing. What are we at right now? 6-5, 3 games right there, just blatantly obvious. And there's been more. You're basically dismissing a third of the season. Okay. And it's not like we're talking about LaDainian Tomlinson or Arian Foster or something like that. I don't know why they put the or. I think it's going to be interesting. Not quite sure what's going on. Now we got Josh Jones stuff. The O-line's crazy. It's very hard to follow. But I am intrigued by the Damian Pierce or Singletary thing. And that's going to be something to keep an eye on when the Texans take on the Broncos on Sunday, which is going to be a very, very big game, very, very fun game. A lot of offseason drama. I don't understand this loyalty towards Damian Pierce. I love Damian Pierce. Like, we've had Damian Pierce on the show multiple times. Like, I've told Damian Pierce that I think he's like a finisher like Marion Barber. He's a very likable guy, country as hell. He talks about how country he is. I don't understand the falling in love with players just to fall in love with players. Maybe sometimes guys just get drawn to him. I don't really know. The misuse of Mike Boone is borderline disrespectful at this point, though, man. Slowick needs to utilize this guy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're misusing him, but I mean, him being inactive was a little bit surprising for me. Do you think we can pressure Russell Wilson? I don't know. They didn't pressure Trevor Lawrence without Cam Robinson. So I don't know. Can we say the run game wasn't working with Singletary on Sunday? Is 6 carries enough to determine that? No, I don't think it's enough to determine that. I think they just completely abandoned it and just assumed it. So I don't think that. But I do think Dameon Pierce has a role. I just think it's running back 2 at this point. I don't even think it's 1A, 1B. But who knows? Appreciate everyone for rolling through. It is the Texans off day, so this is going to be a shorter live. Be on the lookout for that Payton video. Listen to In the Loop tomorrow, 10 a.m. We got some good stuff coming up. Jacob asks, Landry, kind of off subject. What do you think about the T logo on the hats? Seen on Cow and Andre, look like a great Tesla logo for real. And I don't know. They're doing a lot with merchandise. I thought that that hoodie was sick, that he was rocking for sure. Texans fan from Los Angeles flying to the game, red lot or blue lot? Blue lot, enough said. Go to enough said tailgate. I always tell people cash app them $15, $20. You don't have to, but I would. They got shots lined up on the fire truck. They got frozen drinks. They got a beer sponsor with St. Arnold, and they're very, very welcoming. They got a DJ going on. So I would definitely say blue lot. Enough said tailgate. Look for the fire trucks. Shout out to Spin. Shout out to Freddie. Shout out to Marty, Matthew, everybody up there. I'm not leaving anyone out, but it is the best tailgate by far. They'll show you a good time, no doubt. Blue lot, just walk away from the stadium in the blue lot and go left, kind of to where the Astrodome's at your back, towards kind of the convention center, and you won't miss it. Blue Boy 9 says the entire draft class from last year. Man, what are we doing? Can we get through the season? Kenyon Green is a bust. Stingley's always hurt. Mechie didn't play. Petrie missing tackles. Damian can't fill holes. Stingley's playing good ball, though. I will say, Stingley's playing good ball. Mechie's trying to find his way back. Petrie has been awful this year. I don't think there's any sugarcoating it. Pierce, he was a 4th-round pick. Like, at the end of the day, like, even with everything I'm saying, he was a 4th-round pick. I don't know. And I know you can find running backs late, but how much did we really expect? It's not like he was like a bell cow at Florida. So maybe they find like a perfect way to utilize him. He had double-digit carries 7 times at Florida. That's one of my favorite stats. Kenyon Green, hopefully this time off helps him and he can get in this mix and we don't have to worry about the guard. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Shout out to Jerome. He says he wants to explain himself better. No, it's all good, man. It's all fun. Nothing serious. I just don't get the Pierce thing, and I don't know what Titus would say. 11 says Nuff said was amazing in Denver last year. Great people. Yes, I will be. I think I'm going to join them and with the Jets too. We'll see how that is. Before I get out of here, I always love this one. In the life of Colby. It's crazy to me how some of the fans give up on players because they're going through a slump or have a bad game. This year, we're way ahead of the curve. I don't know if people were giving up, but I mean, if they're playing bad, they're playing bad. What are you just supposed to say? Hey, let's wait 4 years. I mean, if they're playing bad, they're playing bad. That's why it's a week-to-week league. You have a chance to kind of figure it out. So we'll see what happens. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Subscribe, like, ride along. Be on the lookout for that Sean Payton thing. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. All love to everyone. In the Loop tomorrow at 10. Number 1 rated show in H-Town. Number 1 digital platform right here. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Thank you so much. This is going to be a fun-ass week. It's going to be a fun-ass Sunday. Hopefully they bounce back for the sake of a lot of people's sanity. And hopefully Dameon Pierce has 300 yards and I can come on here and eat some crow. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.